Yoo-hoo.
Yeah. So, hello, Tajana. Hello, the audience. We will have
Hi.
our internal seminar today by Tajana Brenko, who is finishing her PhD thesis in Croatia. Which university?
Yeah, I will tell now, yes.
You will tell everything.
Yeah, I will.
You will self-introduce. Okay.
Yeah.
So then the stage is yours, Tajana. Please go
Okay.
ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you for joining me. Today I will present my work in progress, my thesis proposal with the theme Transdisciplinary Theories and Practices of Alternative Art Education between Media and the Body. Yes, but first I would like to introduce myself, just to say a few things about my background, to, let's say, to give you also the context for my presentation and my research. So I graduated Croatian language and literature in Faculty for Humanities in Rijeka in Croatia, with the topic The Remains of Mythic Consciousness in Literature, in Poetry. And soon after that, immediately after that, I started my teacher career, my professional career as a teacher of Croatian language in a bilingual school in my home city in Poreč. And yes, there I discovered that I don't know how to teach and that I don't know how to communicate with kids. So I started to deeply question my assumptions on what is a good education, what is knowledge, or how to communicate, and what is art for. And somehow these questions also guided me and somehow influenced my life and my direction till now. At that time, I was beginning the trainings that was available in Croatia in my school that were like holistic education. And I will mention now the most important because they are important for the rest of the presentation. So one is the training in theory of choice theory at the Path of Quality School that was designed on William Glasser Theory School. I don't know if you know about him, but he's an American also educator, also psychiatrist. And his core ideas is the individuals are motivated by internal needs like love, belonging, the need for power, freedom, and play. And he was also emphasizing the need for building meaningful relationships and also personal responsibility. And also he was also put strong emphasis on self-evaluation. The other training was in education for peace and nonviolent problem solving. That was a training under UNICEF. That was at that time was designed in Croatia. It was a post-war zone. And recently, in recent years, I finished my training as an instructor of Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong, traditional Chen style, and that was a 3-year also training. And yes, I will say now about my doctoral study journey that started in Zagreb at the study of, it has a long name, literature, performing arts, film and culture. And there I didn't have the possibility to apply the transdisciplinary approach where my interest shifted in transdisciplinarity, and they didn't have like the institutional support to do that. So after some time of difficulties, I decided to transfer my research and continue the study at the Faculty for Media and Communications in Belgrade at the program of Transdisciplinary Studies of Contemporary Art and Media. And this is now where I am, and one of my thesis was accepted. And yes, so now I will start the presentation. So my dissertation focuses on the concept of transdisciplinarity, that is viewed as an educational movement approach to learning and research that arises in response to challenges of fragmented education, as you know, and explores pathways toward coherent epistemology that transcends disciplinary boundaries facilitating a dynamic interchange between exact sciences, humanities, arts, culture, traditions, and lived experience. So the first part of my dissertation is dedicated to this theoretical part that explored the concept of transdisciplinarity, its evolution and history, and connected with transdisciplinary education. That trace also the development of the concept from the informal to formal and post-formal phases. And the second part is dedicated to practical application of these theories, to the selected case studies. That are examples in alternative, self-organized and educationalized settings of also independent culture. So the main goals are to explore this approach, transdisciplinary approaches in alternative education, and to highlight the need and benefits of bridging boundaries between formal and non-formal education. And I will now read this long sentence that we in humanities sometimes use. The ultimate goal is to argue how the theoretical foundations of transdisciplinarity can support contemporary and future artistic, educational, and self-educational practices that, through synergistic action at the level of theory, experiential practice, participate in the re-enchantment and regeneration of the world and beings, or in the creation of a new rationality through dialogue of different forms of knowledge as a vital force in human evolution and consciousness evolutions. So these hypotheses are connected with the key points that I mentioned before. It's about education, art theory, alternative education. So I put this selection, and I will read it. Like, the first hypothesis is that theoretical foundations of transdisciplinarity can illuminate and define artistic practice as an aesthetic process of self-creation in terms of biological, cultural inseparability. Transdisciplinary approach in aesthetics can contribute to theoretical discussions in developing concepts that articulate the inseparability of art, science, and life. Artistic practices in transdisciplinary education are essential in developing transdisciplinary, models of education aspiring to higher level of cognition, creativity, problem solving, and also the fourth is connected to the mutual development of theory and practices of alternative models of education and transdisciplinarity that can significantly contribute to developing a new type of educational culture. And through feedback loops, this kind of culture and education can further enhance development of transdisciplinary methodology and artistic practices. So the methodology of my research is grounded in transdisciplinary hermeneutics, that is a dynamic and inclusive process of interpretation that seeks to connect diverse epistemic forms and to reveal deeper meaning that are relevant across personal, social, and universal dimensions. So in harmony with this, the main methods for data collection are various types of interviews, structure, semi-structure, and structure, observation without and with participation, analysis of documents, various types of documents, also creative artistic approach method, like draw and write, poetic narrative, visual form, autoethnography, and method of analysis, relevant literature, and description, interpretation, critical analysis. So here I have an example of draw and write. And to connect to the last seminar that we have, here's an example of a workshop that I was observing, observation with participation. And that was an interdisciplinary workshop of do-it-yourself graphics and anthropology. And we were exploring the city, the transformation of the city from the traces of the transformation from socialistic town to capitalistic. So we were engaged in exploring the town in an embodied way to took prints from the city. So this is my books. It was The City and the Question. This is another book, and I put here all these concepts that I share with you of those books. And here in the other pictures, you see the final presentation of the event. But it was in the festival that you will hear later on. So I will skip this because I know you know at the transdisciplinarity. Okay, it's ongoing debate, but for now I will say that disciplinarity, as you know, is a concept that goes beyond all disciplines because this integrates life experience and connects abstract with specific knowledge. So, okay, my research is grounded in the theoretical framework of Basarab Nicolescu, Romanian-French theoretical physicist, and I will also go quickly through these concepts because we read the research paper and Fabrizio did the presentation, but he as a figure and his concept and his articulation, axiomatic formulation of transdisciplinarity is important for my conceptualization in the field of aesthetic art theory. So I will go I will emphasize the part that I think that is crucial for the later presentation. So what is important and the key thing, not the key, the key, okay, is the what Nicolescu distinguish the words that is real and the word reality. Real for Nicolescu is an enigma, is forever veiled, is unanimated existence. It exists independent of the cognitive power of the subject. And reality for he is socially constructed, is mediated word of perception and interpretation, and they exist at the same time. So his three axioms of Nicolescu are ontological, logical, epistemological, and ontological says that there are different levels of reality of the object and the subject, and they exist in nature and society, and in our nature, knowledge of nature and society. The logical, you know, also is the included middle logic, implies that there are three terms that differ from the classical realism, which Nicolescu does not negate, but he said only that they have like they're not, the logic of classical realism is not applicable for everything. So the included middle logic has terms A, non-A, and T term, T state that is simultaneously A and non-A, A and no-A, no-not, sorry. And this term is important because allows the reconciliation of the opposites and this communication of the excluded entities. So for him, it's important that included middle is the included third, and if one remains of one only level of reality, every manifestation appears as a struggle between two contradictory elements, but the dynamic of the T states occur on another level of reality where what seems separated is actually united, and what seems contradictory is perceived as a non-contradictory. And the epistemological level, he calls him also the axiom of complexity and universal interdependence, and says that every level is what it is because all levels exist simultaneously. So this is a figure of transreality, the formulation of the transdisciplinary model of reality of Nicolescu. And he introduced here the mediating hidden third. And he identifies three levels of reality of the object and at least three levels of the reality of the subject in natural and social systems. He names it micro, macro, micro-physical, macro-physical, cyberspace-time in natural systems, and in social system, individual, historical, geographical, community level, as family nation, cyberspace time of community, planetary and cosmic level. Yes, and here it's he explains in these levels of reality the things are contradictory. On another point, it can be harmonized in the hidden third. Why the hidden third is important for art theory? Because in Nicolescu's view, reality is plastic and complex and interconnected and an open unity, and so resist reduction to purely scientific paradigms and invites a further dialogue with artistic practices and subjective experience. And the hidden third acts as a bridge, as a mediator, and that allows the dialogue between subject, the inner world, and the object, external world. It's accessible to human knowledge through imagination, intuition, dreams, arts, culture, and spiritual existence. And for Nicolescu, while science deals with fragments of levels of reality, culture, art, and spirituality traverse several levels. So in this context, Nicolescu, also Maureen, that is in harmony with his view, advocate for urgent inclusion of literature and other artistic practices into transdisciplinary practices. I will not go through this, but here I put the other ternary levels that are useful in conceptualization of concrete situations. In my research, I also explored the concept of transdisciplinarity as a worldview, connected with what I previously said, and also how it evolves through history, and what is also important for the art theory part. It's the relationship between subject and the object in transdisciplinary worldview and postmodernism. That is another term that Nicolescu used to describe the transdisciplinary worldview. He took it from Christian Moraru. But to compare with the pre-modern science societies, I would like also to explain quickly that in pre-modern societies, they had mythical and magical worldview, and the subject was immersed in the object, filled with spiritual significance. In modernity, as you know, the subject was sharply divided from the object, prioritizing scientific dominance. In postmodernism, this is inverted, and the object is the projection of the subject, is socially constructed. And Nicolescu's view reimagines the relationship of subject and the object remaining distinct, but they are unified in the hidden third and holistic realm where all entities are infinitely interconnected, defining each other through their relations in historical and cultural contexts. So she introduced this ternary structure, and his model of reality, trans-reality, means the subject, the object, and the hidden third. This is the ternary structure of reality. Okay, and what is important that Nicolescu also emphasized that transdisciplinarity, when one is formulated, is it can be applied in the field of education and culture, and transdisciplinary education founded on transdisciplinary methodology will allow us to establish links between persons, facts, images, representation, fields of knowledge, and action to discover the errors of learning and permanent interrogation. So, okay, and so now I will also tell you something about this, that's some of my questions, and that serves as a passage through the part of art theory. And explains why it's important. The framework of transdisciplinary realism is relevant for my dissertation, because within the transdisciplinary model of reality, art and culture are placed in the zone of non-resistance, through which the source of knowledge manifests itself through human spiritual aesthetic experience and symbolic language, with the aim of harmonization. So many other artists authors believe that art and aesthetics will play a key role in the future of education and human evolution, and the question arises whether artists and institutions of the system of arts will be ready for creation beyond discipline in a planetary era, postmodernism, given the currently marginalized and conditioned state of art within the capitalist market of production systems. So this is something that I was working on and trying to investigate. Let me see how much time I have. Okay. In this part, I begin to go in the field of art aesthetic and art theory, and introduce some other concepts from authors that are important and relevant. And I will skip, I will not go in details, but for me, for this research is the important Erika Fisher concept of art as an aesthetic process of self-creation. That she defines performative art as transformative embodied practices, and the process as a process of autopoiesis that she took from Maturella and Varana. And so the artist and the audience co-create meaning through mutual engagement. The boundaries between subject and the object blur, allowing the reconfiguration of identity and the self, and not as an intellectual exercise, but as an embodied experience. The other author is Susie Gablik, that she talks about re-enchantment of the world and connecting to cosmos. So re-enchanted art, instead of focusing solely on self-expression and aesthetic innovation, aims to engage with larger ecological, social, spiritual issues, re-establishing art as a vital force in regeneration of culture. Another less known scholar is, at least in my context, is Ellen DeSagnake. She's an American anthropologist, and she explores art from the bottom up, and states that art practices are biological necessity, behavior, evolving capacity, innate universal human practice that are crucial for survival. And sorry, what is this? And another author is Mark Turner that explores the connections between art, the origin of art and cognitive evolution, and see art as an essential part of human cognitive evolution. And also he states that art emerges as a way to make sense of the world, transforming experiences into narratives and rituals that offered meaning, cohesion, continuity. And by engaging in art, early humans developed cognitive tools necessary for complex social interaction, strategic thinking, and cultural innovation. So. This has a significant implication also for alternative education. And yes, I go to this. Here I wanted to illustrate some my thoughts of an aesthetic and try to compare Nicolescu's transrealism as a theory with the contemporary art theories, just to illustrate a little of that, because it's a work in progress. But contemporary art theories are primarily grounded in postmodernism, phenomenological and constructive philosophies, and they emphasize subjective experience, cultural relativism, and rejection of fixed narratives of universal truth. We can see also them as a social constructivism umbrella, and Nicolescu's transrealism is distinctive because it's multidimensional framework. And he added this metaphysical layer and introduces a non-constructivist element. So reality is partially constructed, but real remains an ultimate truth beyond social construction and human perception. Contradictions are harmonized, and art respects both social constructed aspects of reality and underlying transcendent real, objective layer of existence, blending subjective experience with broader interconnected worldview. Here in the table I put, I will share that so if someone is interested can explore further. So why is this important? This is important, in my opinion, for conceptualizing the problem of marginalized status of arts and for re-evaluating art's role. Because the marginalized status of art in contemporary societies results from the perception that art is non-essential and is a luxury pursuit rather than a core component of human development. So Nicolescu's philosophy provides the framework in which art marginalized status for. I don't see now what I wrote here because I have this. But okay, it's important for reevaluating the art role. And while Nicolescu's is not directly shifting political priorities, but it can have a large and big influence in cultural and educational settings and perspectives, and can inspire reforms in these settings. Well, here are some key takeaways of my notes. And yeah, Edgar Morin. Okay. It's okay, I will read this because it's funny, because it's how Edgar Morin is expressing himself in this such way, complex way. And here I will also would like to, I don't know if you know, but today is the anniversary. Yesterday was the anniversary, but today is a big celebration in Florence in a transdisciplinary cathedra for it's about celebration. World celebration is 30 years from the how to say, the chapter, no, the transdisciplinary chart was signed. So in Portugal. And I will read Edgar Morin. The reform of knowledge and understanding is essential. The reform of knowledge and thought depends on the reform of education, which depends on the reform of knowledge and thought. The regeneration of education depends on the regeneration of understanding, which depends on the regeneration of human relationship, which depends on regeneration of education. So it's funny. All reforms are interdependent, more than reform, richer than revolution, metamorphosis. So we need a metamorphosis. Okay, in this part, it's slightly, we approach to the part of the case studies, and in this part of my research, I'm dealing with transdisciplinary pedagogy, that is defined as a specific application of transdisciplinary theories and practices within the educational context. And in this part, I was tracing the evolution of transdisciplinarity as an educational paradigm or movement. And so I was trying to make some connections also with our past and the informal type of learning in hunter-gatherers. So because humans spend 95 to 99% of their lives as hunter-gatherers in hunter-gatherer societies. So I didn't put this here, but I was analyzing through the literature review the features of hunter-gatherer learnings, and also compare it with alternatives, models of alternative school, and connect. I wanted to connect with nowadays theories and practices that is transdisciplinary pedagogy. So it was the motivation for re-evaluating education. And in contrast with classical education, which was arising in agriculture and industrial societies, prioritized structured hierarchical learning, focus on efficiency and standardized content. which often overlook holistic, collaborative, and adaptable learning. The other, like hunter-gatherers, alternative models of education, and transdisciplinary pedagogy, we see the shift toward experiential, human-centered learning, prioritizing community, mixed age learning in mixed age groups, learning from nature, play, and holistic developments over traditional structured methods. Core concept of transdisciplinary pedagogy is that it's transgressive, transcendent, and transformative. Transgressive means that it changes this legacy of hegemonic practices and that encourages new ways of teaching and learning that align with the lived experience of all students. Transcendence that emphasize the interconnection of cognition, emotion, and body, and creating inclusive spaces, that is very important, by moving beyond fragmentation and that include all voices and all methods. And transformative is focused on growth and transformation rooted in authentic reciprocal relationships. Some components and features of transdisciplinary pedagogy is transdisciplinary theory, process of complex thinking, soft communication, skill, collaboration, consciousness, transpersonal psychology, spirituality, transpoetic creativity, transculturality, and peace education. Okay. And now I will go through this, my case studies, just so to see what time is it, okay? The first case study is about work of Anna Halprin. He's American dancer and educator, and he created a program that that is titled Life Art Process. She was trying to redefine dance as a form of life, bridging art, therapy, and activism. In her creative synthesis, he put her work with Gestalt psychotherapy. She was also collaborative with landscape architecture. Her husband, Lawrence Halprin, and well-known Alan Capron, John Cage performers. So at that time, in the 60s and the 70s in America, she was like the pioneer of this kind of approach to dance, because she has started to work not with the dancers, but with, let's say, ordinary people, and her core principle was the integration, as I said before, of body, mind, spirit, but also emphasize the work with nature and outdoor setting, and use scores for improvisation and self-exploration. But she deals with topics such as racial topics, peace, and chronic illness, and she works with people in order to deal with these hard problems. One of her citation quote, I will quote: "You don't dance only for yourself, you dance for the good of others, to make connections with nature and spirits. The dance have a purpose to achieve something real in your life. The body knows things about which the mind is ignorant." Okay, the aim of this part of the study is to study the core principles, the structure and organization, and also it's not the product of the workshop process. And Anna Halprin and Loris Halprin created their workshop method. They call it the RSVP cycles. And this model is grounded in principles of applied democracy. They aim to explore individual and group attitudes, emotions, and personal goals, and transform subjective experience into actionable and shareable process, promoting self-determination and sense of shared responsibility among participants. By giving the agency to engage in what affects to people to engage in what affects them. It bridges human needs with artistic expression, making creativity a reflection of real life experience. So the objective of the workshops, I will now quickly go through that because they are like mostly the same for the another case study, and yeah, they keep the really essence of this case study. So it's the objective of life art process. They see life art as an organic unity. Is to build common basis for experiences. We can communicate. I don't see. A moment. I wanted to hide. I don't know how to hide. Okay, to experience and learn the teaching of the techniques of collective creativity. So the collective creativity is the core principle, the core concept. To use the RSVP cycles for collective creativity to maximize diversity, embracing cultural, ethnic, gender, age, socioeconomic, and sexual differences, to create rituals and myths inspired by shared experiences, to fulfill individual expectations within the group dynamics, to develop group awareness of the environment, and to integrate and recycle workshop experiences in everyday life. So it can be all applied and said in my second case study, that is Festival 7 Days of Creation, that was held in Pazin in Istria for 15 years, and was created in the post-socialist Croatia, where there was lack of independent cultural and educational spaces. And at that time, and still now, institutions didn't adapt to societal needs, and the festival filled this gap, promoting self-organization, governance, and creativity, civic responsibility. The core of these festivals are also workshops, but I think I have a few minutes to finish and to I wanted to show you, not to speak about the festival, but to show you a few seconds, few minutes of the video about the festival.
we don't hear the sound, by the
Ah,
way.
no. I know. Oh, why not? No, you don't hear the sound.
I don't know.
Oh.
No, I was reading the subtitles and thought,
Ah.
okay, it's fine to not
Diana,
interrupt. But then with the music,
Okay.
I thought, yeah.
Diana,
Yes.
when you share the screen, you need to click the share sound too.
Ah. But you think about the video
You need restart to share your screen.
now. Uh-huh.
Yeah, stop and restart, reshare.
Stop. Where? Because this meeting has been recorded. I have this another. Stop share and then
Stop
reshare.
and reshare, and when you have the menu to reshare, you need
Okay.
to click
Okay.
share with sound, and in the right side.
Okay. Well, but you don't hear only the video. Okay, it's okay. I will go through because I have to finish anyway. Because I didn't want to speak because okay, it's okay. Okay, I basically will have this, but I don't know what it doesn't go. This comparative analysis of the 3 case studies. The last case study is this. You see some pictures from the festival, and the last case studies that are my workshop that I developed in this transitional phases of my PhD journey from Zagreb to Belgrade, and then that was meant to be the phase after the dissertation, but it is now in the dissertation. And practically, my aim was here to introduce also the theoretical part. There are also workshops that were held in Open Popular University's Poreč, and their objective was to research an application of transdisciplinary pedagogy in adult non-formal education. And so I developed 2 modules. Okay, the first was transdisciplinarity as a worldview, to be or not to be, and the second was transdisciplinary and art, co-evolutionary system approach to art. And okay. First module. I don't know why now. Okay. Yes, because we don't have like any institution that deals and that applies transdisciplinarity. We don't have like transdisciplinary studies in Croatia. So I started in this way from my initiative and self-organized initiative. And in this first module, I wanted to introduce the basic concepts of transdisciplinary thought. To use this, it was the goal to introduce concepts basic on the Nicolescu and Moran's work, and in dialogues and other activities, and to observe the creation of new knowledge that emerge from encounter, communication, and interactions between participants. In this approach, yes, I started from the concept of reality as a complex and multi-layered, and that with intuition, sensibility, emotion, imagination, and body, as well as intellect, form an indivisible whole that participants equally and complementary in the production and transmission of authentic knowledge. So I didn't prioritize intellectual part in these workshops, but we were trying to work simultaneously with the workshop as a method, collaborative learning method. I speak here from that, and text analysis, communication practice and theory. And I use also in these workshops non-directive aesthetic skills, which means role play, guided fantasy, poetry, rhythm, breathing, imagination plays, drawing, clay modeling, etc., etc. In the first part, we investigated this concept from the transdisciplinary theory, and the second was dedicated to the place of art in transdisciplinary vision and the exploration from the vision of art through the lens of evolutionary aesthetic, neuroaesthetic, cognitive sciences, paleoarchaeology, which can be also named as naturalistic aesthetics. So the goal was to rethink the way we as culture can nurture forms of discourse in which co-evolutionary systems in social behaviors, art, because we see art as a social behavior, function in open and harmonious relationship with nature, and how art and experiential learning ability have the ability to communicate abstract and emotional truths. So, okay. Yes. The expected contribution was that the workshops exemplify the potentiality of transdisciplinary education to foster holistic something and education models and collaboration. And from the evaluation, it states that participants gained valuable skill that can be applied in personal, professional, and community settings. I will finish now, but I will start in here to develop. I will explore the workshops as a teaching method, and in terms of transformative learning, autopoietic feedback loop, embodiment presence, and what happens with the organism from the concept of organism self-regulation and disruptions in organismic self-regulation during the workshops, and the role of facilitator. And yes, this is the contribution of the artistic practices in transdisciplinary pedagogy. Not to repeat, and I think this is the end. But yes, I have what is the theoretical and practical implications of my doctoral thesis. The theoretical contributions are expected to be in expanding transdisciplinary studies and contributing to the evolving discourse on transdisciplinarity in education and aesthetic. And the practical part is application in various educational settings, from formal institutions to non-formal community initiatives. Conclusions and future research. I expect significant insights into potential of transdisciplinary alternative educational and transformative power of art when integrated to education, and invites further investigation on long-term impacts of transdisciplinary alternative art education and its potential for individual social transformation. And yes, this is it. I survived. And yes, another quote of Edgar Morin, that learning is a journey into what means to be human, an adventure of discovery, desire, and continuous rebirth. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Tajana. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We have time for questions, comments.
Yeah.
Fabricio, please go ahead. We don't have much time, so
Yeah.
let's try to make short comments, short answers, and later we can I think I'm gonna send you an audio actually on my own site internally to give you my comments, because I have lots of things to say. Go, Fabricio.
Okay, it's a quickly question. Well, first of all, excellent presentation, Tajana. And well, I have a doubt. At the beginning of your presentation, you say that part of your contribution is some kind of planetary civilization, sort of. What do you mean when you say planetary?
Yes, it's a term that it has like his history. I think the first that introduces the term is Teilhard de Chardin, and when he speaks about planetarity, he connected it with the evolution of consciousness, and he was thinking in this, let's say, optimistic way that through the evolution of time and technology, that humans will begin to become more connected, and that the technology will play also the important part for that. And yes, it's like implies the evolution of consciousness and the interconnectedness, the consciousness of interconnectedness. So, but also the discourse of planetarity. Some philosophers use it from distinct, so distinguish the concept of globalization, because the globalization happens in the same historical time as planetary, but is more concerned with the, let's say, also this kind of negative impact, and is more focused on, when we say globalization, we think more in terms of economics and politics. But planetarization would be more a narrative that is a philosophical, ethical, and yes, this to put the accent of this ethical and consciousness part of the term.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comment? Question? Dirk, you're muted. Dirk?
How is this possible?
Yeah. Now, I muted you
It should,
at the beginning.
Yeah, so I had really started yet. So my thank you for the presentation. It was very complete. It was, to my mind, a little bit. There was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of text on the slides. So as a general remark, I would say take the parts that you've marked red and put them on the slides, and all the rest in the notes, because now I thought it was a bit much. So, but it's not about the content really. So would you say that art has a role or a purpose in human evolution or cultural evolution?
Yeah, from these theories like evolutionary aesthetical, naturalistic aesthetic, that were like exploring this concept, also merging with neuroscience, and lots of neuroscientists and were also dealing with this problem. I can now replicate their researches, but yes, they are dealing with how emotions also how they contribute also to cognitive development. But because art, let's say that also Ellen de Sagnac tells about this, but art and culture existed before human existed. So one of the theses said that the humans evolved because of, they didn't invent culture and art, but they evolved because of culture art, because that is the kind of activity that had the impact of the brain, evolution of the brain. Because there are evidences in anthropology of art that are studied, also the ethological studies that were studies the primates and the animal world, and also the pre-humans and the chimpanzee, and so that they had this evolutionary continuous, that there are evidence that some of the species had like rudimentary theaters and rudimentary funerals, and that they have this kind of performative behavior. So
cool. So then does it, so it revolves around the relation between the subject and the object, or even the disappearing of this distinction between the two? Yeah.
Yeah, it's connected. But what is important that in this the first communities, I want to go back to the art. Art was not separated activity of the everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the part that is really, it has a vital role in the survival for the community. And there's some research also were like saying that some behavior of art really serves to sharpen the perception, and they really develop this strategic thinking when engaging in art activities. And
Mm-hmm.
it was also the way how to transmit cultural values. But it is when you say, and when we applied the transdisciplinary framework, so we can also trace at all levels of what's happening at the level of individual, on the cognitive, on the body, of the emotion, on the society. And also they state that we can also at the cyberspace, time and universal, some universals that has impact on every level of reality, how we became and how we interact with the world, the subject and the object.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, cool.
but what is the point of Nicolescu said that by the intuition and through this hidden third, when engaging in art or any kind of spiritual activity, we have this sense of something bigger and this sense of mystery, and we are connected to that through art.
Yeah. I sometimes like to think of it as it's like pattern recognition. So what an artist can do, what nobody else almost can do, apart from maybe from theology, is to identify and put maybe words or images to those patterns that he or she suspects are there, but cannot be put in logical language as per like philosophy or something. And then so it could be even pre-philosophy or something like that.
Yeah, because also, yes, what you said, what Nicolescu says, that the language of science or any kind of discipline is just at the one level of reality and the organization, but arts culture go like they're dynamic of several levels. So this is also the crucial thing.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, interesting.
Yes, sorry for the long slides, but as it is I usually don't do presentation but workshops. So
no, we like to hear you explain instead of the written text. That's for later if it's in a team.
It was just like to get some idea of what I'm working at. So I was not like really meant this is like the presentation. So so it has also lots of I don't have spell check in PowerPoint in English, so it has lots of tip fillers and sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. So I want to finish, like, guys, just 5 minutes if you can, because I want to ask you, Tajana. I mean, I'm well, the research, let's say the depth of investigation of research you have done is very interesting. I think I can feel like it's a journey. It's quite a journey you have been through to get where you are. And also, and the presentation was somehow a narration of that story that you have went through, like telling these are the concepts I have studied, these are the things I have made, these are but I think I would like to see, maybe for a next format of the presentation or something like that, a distillation of what is important to say, what's the message you want to give. So for example, I was thinking, what is the message that you can tell to education, to the educators? Because I think that will be maybe your best target. to illuminate educators. So maybe having something like an audience you will be talking to will help you to say, okay, this is important, this is less important, this is important. So you can navigate the presentation towards ending up with a particular message that you want to give. Because I think it's more like descriptive, maybe like a book will work in this sense. But for giving a message, I wonder what's the if you will have to tell one message out of all this, what will that message be?
Okay, as I told before, it's a presentation of the draft. So I'm working on these things.
No, of course.
Yeah, okay. It's like an internal seminar, so I thought I can be like so to free. Yes, what is the message? Yeah, okay. The message is complex. I will think.
Yeah. No,
because it's interconnected, and it's not. It's.
But I mean, the point, of course, it's an internal seminar, and it's very good because it's very comprehensive what you mentioned. But I'm now thinking of what is going to be the external seminar out of this internal seminar.
Okay.
So
okay. This is another thing. This is totally another thing. Yeah.
But I will be glad. I will be very interested to know more of how can this, because there is a lot of material here, so you can create lots of products out of this.
Yes.
But in order to create a product, you need to know who is going to be the user or the audience of your product, and then you have to speak to them more in their language and illuminate them with some shots that could lift their thinking. Because if you put this in the brain, in the eyes of someone who is not familiar with it, it will be like, it's like hitting him with a bat in the head. It's too much.
But
I wonder how, because everything is interesting. Everything is interesting. So I don't exactly know how can we kind of organize this maybe into 2-3 talks for artists, for social scientists, for educators, because you have too much to show. And the whole package is very difficult to digest. So who will be let's change the question then, not a message, but who will be your ideal audience?
I don't know, because I said that I usually do, because at the philosophy, the core of the philosophy of this transdisciplinarity, to merge the practice and theory. So and to engage with intellect, body, and emotions. So I can hardly do that in presentation. So I invented these modules, and usually I don't do that. I don't do what you asked to me. Maybe I will give some lecture, but usually I don't. So I have to. But who can be? Also, the workshops are intended to be free and to be open to anyone that. So I did have law student, teachers, and the nurse.
Yeah.
And yes, it was great. So,
No, I know this trouble of when you try to integrate experience to practice to theory. It's very difficult to systematize experience or systematize practice.
Okay.
But education needs some systematization. If you're going to implement this in education, for example, it must be somehow systematized so it can be replicated by other people and can have some sort of program, So it needs some structure. That's what I mean.
Okay, but audience would be like teachers and artists. Yes. Let's say if I have to choose, I will work with teachers and artists. Yeah.
With educators in general, the people that teach people.
I think, yes, I can. If you want to divide the topics, it can be the workshop, the process of the workshop, the transformative power of the workshop can be one topic. Because my research also, as you notice, it's like depart from somehow. Okay, it was when graduating, I was mostly in theory in the faculty, but after that, I started this research from the bottom up. So also what I noticed that most of educators had problem with this kind of method, like implementing this method also in the setting of formal education, but also with themselves, how to be this kind of educator that is holistic educator. So yes, also what is to be a holistic educator?
Yeah,
This
that's
is,
it's a very interesting title. Sorry, Dirk, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it would help to, what is the present, the gift that you want to give to like these educators in the end? So that will be the answer that you would be giving them from your thesis or your research. And now, so the question, so what is the question, your research question that produces in the end after your research is completed, this answer? So could you like from the stomach or from the heart tell us what is this present or this gift to them?
I think the gift is the love of being alive and be together and in the workshops. And I don't know. I will have to ask my stomach once again.
Okay,
But
cool.
yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Good. All right.
If I may make the
Please.
last comment, Tajana, thank you very much for the presentation. I agree with previous comments, and for me it also was very comprehensive, and sometimes I lose the focus on the goal of the message, but after we spoke and after I digest some information you presented, I think for me at least the main message lies in the change in educational paradigm, and this change you support taking approaches from social science and art. Do you understand correctly? Like, was it on your mind, or I'm shifted in the wrong direction?
Yeah. If the yes, definitely the shift in educational paradigm, and also in how we see also the role and the function of art and education, and how can that be merged together. So, but if
Okay,
also,
so actually
sorry, you go ahead.
No, tell me.
No, yes, the one of the big problem is, yes, the marginalization. It depends of the country and the context and the region, but for me is the marginalization of art in the system of education, the formal education, at least it's in Croatia, and because of this, departing from the theories like dialectical materialism, that this art is non-essential, is not in the base, but it's I don't know how to say in English, and this kind of interpretation. So I think it's really important to also have this shift in understanding this theoretical part, and then explore it. How does it work in real world? How does this happen? The change happen when it happens.
Yeah. Okay. So what it reminds me, there is this complexity scientist or system scientist is called Heinz von Förster, and his Heinz von Förster, and his view, you know him, yeah, and his view on education is to de-trivialize the students. And with this, he means that all the patterns, all the things that we've done before and seen that have been done before by others and that we are repeating is trivial. So you just learn it and, you know, that's it. It's already there. Now what we need is non-trivial, is the identification or recognition or suspicion even of non-trivial phenomena. So what he calls education is to jointly research and thereby de-trivialize the student. Is that something that resonates with you?
Yeah, yes, and I think it can be done by choosing some other kinds of method instead of frontal learning that is predominantly, at least in my country, and also the how could we detrivialize to also, if we create such learning environments that, as I said before, also that I was trying to do in my workshops, that not privilege intellect over body, emotions, intellect, you know. So how can we have such a learning environment, and you say also one learning unit, when there is we can be in contact with ourselves, with our needs, to be in this process, but also get some knowledge and theoretical knowledge, but also build relationships. This was kind of what I trying to, and it was very successful, but this is how can we, this is my way of seeing it.
Okay.
So encourage and make environments that can harmonize all these things, and that can like allow the intuition, the imagination to develop. Also with also like intellectual skill. It's not that nothing is, the point is to how this holistic learning happens. So
yeah.
Okay. So because of time, I think we have to leave now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks again, Tajana.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you
Tajana.
for surviving me too.
No, it's not like that.
No, it was very good. Stop recording.